but it was blatantly obvious. Aliyah Boston could have played in the damn game yesterday versus the LA Sparks with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was sabotaged and set up for failure. She played in 2-minute increments. How come Aliyah Boston didn't play in 2-minute increments today? Can somebody explain to me why Aliyah Boston didn't play in 2-minute increments?
The Indiana Fever may have won their latest game, but that's not what's dominating conversations across the WNBA today. Instead, fans are asking one question that refuses to go away: what is really happening with Caitlin Clark? Just one game after she was limited in unusual rotations while key teammate Aliyah Boston was unavailable, Boston returned and logged heavy minutes in a victory without Clark on the floor. To many fans, the timing felt impossible to ignore, sparking heated debates across social media, sports shows, and basketball forums. Was it simply a medical decision based on player health, or has the situation been blown out of proportion by frustrated supporters looking for answers?
It was sabotage. Caitlin Clark was set up for failure. This whole thing was a scheme and a plan, and I'm going to break it down. But the Indiana Fever did squeak out a win. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, hype the video. That would be greatly appreciated. As always, we got to get off into things, man.
In this video, we're breaking down the full timeline, the coaching decisions, the player rotations, and the reactions from fans and analysts alike. We'll separate what actually happened from what's being speculated, examine whether the criticism of Stephanie White is fair, and explore how these recent games could shape the narrative surrounding Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever for the rest of the season. The details are more surprising than many people realize, so make sure you watch until the very end because every piece of this story adds another layer to a debate that's only getting bigger. The conversation surrounding the Indiana Fever has shifted dramatically over the past few days. Instead of celebrating another win or focusing on the team's position in the standings, fans have become consumed by one question: why did the lineup look so different from one game to the next? The debate started after Caitlin Clark returned to action under a carefully managed workload. Rather than playing long stretches, she appeared in short bursts, a decision that immediately caught the attention of fans and analysts. Whenever a player is returning from injury or dealing with physical limitations, minute restrictions are nothing unusual. But because Clark is one of the biggest stars in basketball, every coaching decision instantly becomes headline news. Then another storyline entered the conversation. Aliyah Boston, who had been unavailable in the previous game, returned and logged significant minutes in Indiana's next matchup. That timing sparked endless discussion online. Some fans viewed it as completely normal, pointing out that medical evaluations can change quickly from one day to the next. Others questioned why the roster looked so different across consecutive games and wondered whether those decisions affected Clark's opportunity to find rhythm on the floor. Those questions fueled thousands of comments across social media. Some defended the coaching staff, arguing that protecting players' health should always come first. Others believed the Fever could have handled the situation differently. Regardless of which side fans supported, one thing became obvious: the spotlight on Indiana has never been brighter. That attention isn't surprising. Ever since Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, every Fever game has become a national event. Television ratings have climbed, arenas have sold out, and nearly every possession is analyzed in real time. Every substitution, timeout, and coaching adjustment quickly becomes part of a much larger conversation. For Stephanie White, that means every decision is examined from every possible angle. If Clark plays limited minutes, people ask why. If Boston sits, people ask why. If the team wins without Clark, people debate what it means. If the team loses with Clark, people debate that even more. That's simply the reality of coaching one of the league's most talked about teams. Looking at the games themselves, there were several basketball reasons that influenced the outcomes. Indiana's defensive adjustments helped slow key scorers at important moments, while veterans stepped up offensively when the team needed baskets. Kelsey Mitchell continued showing why she's one of the league's most dangerous scorers, and multiple role players contributed during crucial stretches. Still, many fans couldn't stop comparing the two games. One contest featured Clark trying to regain her rhythm, while the roster looked different than expected. The next game featured Boston playing major minutes, different rotations, and another victory. Those back-to-back results naturally created debate, even if there isn't a simple explanation. Another reason emotions are running so high is because expectations surrounding the Fever are enormous. This isn't a rebuilding team that can quietly develop young talent. Every game feels like a playoff atmosphere because millions of viewers are watching to see how Clark's transition into professional basketball continues. That pressure doesn't affect only Clark. It affects Boston. It affects Mitchell. It affects Stephanie White. and it affects every player wearing an Indiana jersey. The challenge for the coaching staff is balancing immediate wins with long-term health. Coaches often have access to medical information that isn't made public, which means fans are judging decisions without knowing every detail behind them. At the same time, supporters naturally want transparency, especially when key players are involved. Whether you agree with the coaching decisions or not, it's impossible to deny that the Fever remain one of the most fascinating teams in the WNBA. Every lineup change creates another wave of discussion, and every result seems to add a new chapter to an already intense season. But the biggest question isn't about what happened in the last 2 games. It's about what happens next. Because Indiana's upcoming matchup will provide another opportunity to see whether these recent rotation decisions were simply short-term adjustments, or the beginning of a new approach that could shape the rest of the season. As the Fever prepare for their next challenge, attention is turning toward how this team performs when everyone is available. That's where the real evaluation begins. 1 game or even 2 games rarely tell the full story of a season. Basketball is built on trends, chemistry, and adjustments that develop over weeks, not overnight. One of the biggest topics surrounding Indiana has been the partnership between Clark and Aliyah Boston. Since Clark entered the league, many analysts have pointed to the pick-and-roll between the two as one of the Fever's greatest long-term strengths. Clark's court vision allows her to create passing lanes that very few guards can see, while Boston's footwork and finishing ability make her a constant threat around the basket. When those two are playing together at their best, opposing defenses are forced into difficult decisions. Do they trap Clark beyond the three-point line? Do they stay home on Boston in the paint? Or do they rotate help from the weak side and risk leaving shooters open? Those are the kinds of problems championship-caliber teams create. That's why fans were eager to see the duo share more minutes together. Instead, recent lineup changes shifted the conversation away from basketball strategy and toward coaching decisions. Stephanie White has defended the importance of managing player workloads throughout the season. From a coaching perspective, that's understandable. The WNBA schedule is demanding, and keeping players healthy is essential for long-term success. But every decision becomes magnified when it involves one of the league's biggest stars. The Fever also face another challenge that many teams don't experience. Every opponent treats Indiana like a marquee matchup. Whether they're playing at home or on the road, arenas are packed with fans eager to watch Clark. That means opposing teams often bring playoff-level intensity, making every game more competitive than the standings alone might suggest. Meanwhile, veterans like Kelsey Mitchell continue proving their value. Her scoring ability has carried Indiana through difficult stretches, and when defenses focus heavily on Clark, Mitchell often finds more opportunities to attack. Rather than viewing it as one player versus another, the Fever's success depends on multiple stars contributing together. Aliyah Boston plays an equally important role. Her rebounding, interior defense, and ability to finish through contact provide balance to Indiana's offense. When Boston is active around the rim, Clark has another reliable option in transition and half-court sets. That's why many fans believe building stronger chemistry between the two should remain a priority moving forward. Another storyline that's generated discussion is the role of Indiana's bench players. Throughout the season, different reserves have stepped up in key moments, giving Stephanie White flexibility with her rotations. Some nights one player catches fire offensively. Other nights defense becomes the deciding factor. Coaches constantly adjust based on matchups, foul trouble, and player health, even if those adjustments aren't always popular with fans. Still, perception matters. When high-profile lineup changes happen around a superstar like Clark, speculation spreads quickly. Social media clips, podcasts, and television debates often focus on isolated moments without showing the full context of an entire game. That can create narratives that grow much faster than the actual facts. For Indiana, the challenge now is simple. Win consistently. Nothing quiets debate like victories. If the Fever continue improving while Clark, Boston, Mitchell, and the rest of the roster develop stronger chemistry, many of today's questions could disappear on their own. But if inconsistency continues, every substitution, every timeout, and every rotation decision will remain under the microscope. The next few games may reveal far more than the last few did. They'll show whether Indiana has found the right balance between protecting players, developing chemistry, and competing against the league's best teams. And with expectations continuing to rise, the pressure on everyone, from the coaching staff to the players, will only continue to grow. Now the spotlight shifts to what comes next, because this may be the most important stretch of the Indiana Fever's season so far. 1 or 2 games can create headlines, but the next several weeks will reveal what this team is truly capable of. The biggest question isn't whether the Fever can win individual games, It's whether they can consistently compete against the league's elite while keeping their core players healthy and on the same page. For Caitlin Clark, every game carries enormous expectations. That's simply the reality of being one of the most recognizable names in basketball. Every assist, every turnover, every three-pointer, and every coaching decision involving her becomes a national talking point within minutes. Few players in WNBA history have entered the league under this level of attention, and that pressure creates challenges that statistics alone can't measure. At the same time, it's important to recognize that basketball is never about one player. Championship teams are built through chemistry, trust, and players accepting their roles. The Fever have talented pieces across the roster. Kelsey Mitchell remains one of the league's most dangerous scorers. Aliyah Boston continues to be a force in the paint on both ends of the floor. The supporting cast has shown flashes of stepping up in critical moments. If those pieces continue growing together, Indiana has every reason to believe it can become a serious playoff contender. The coaching staff also faces difficult decisions every night. Managing minutes, protecting players returning from injuries, adjusting defensive schemes, and finding the right offensive combinations are all part of leading a young team through a long season. Fans won't always agree with those choices, especially when results don't go as expected, but every decision is made with both the current game and the bigger picture in mind. Another factor that can't be ignored is the role of public perception. In today's sports world, social media can turn one moment into a nationwide debate. A single lineup change, a brief injury update, or one disappointing performance can generate thousands of reactions before the final buzzer even sounds. That makes it difficult to separate facts from opinions, and narratives often spread much faster than complete information becomes available. Looking ahead, the Fever's upcoming matchups will provide a much clearer picture of where this team stands. Facing stronger opponents will test every part of their game, from offensive execution to defensive communication and late-game decision-making. These are the moments where great teams establish their identity. For Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston, the opportunity remains enormous. Their partnership has the potential to become one of the most exciting duos in the WNBA. The more time they spend together on the court, the more dangerous Indiana's offense can become. Developing that chemistry won't happen overnight, but every possession brings valuable experience that could pay off later in the season. Ultimately, fans want the same thing, to see the Indiana Fever reach their full potential. Whether recent lineup decisions were simply medical precautions, strategic adjustments, or something else entirely, the only way to move the conversation forward is through consistent performances on the court. The next chapter is about proving what this team can accomplish when everyone is available and playing together. If the Fever continue improving, many of today's debates will fade into the background. But if inconsistency remains, the questions surrounding rotations, coaching decisions, and player usage will only grow louder. One thing is certain, every Indiana Fever game will continue to attract national attention. Every win, every loss, and every adjustment will be analyzed from every angle. That's the reality of having a team filled with young stars and championship expectations. Now it's up to the Fever to write the next chapter of their story. Will they silence the critics with strong performances, or will the questions continue to grow? The answer will unfold on the court, one game at a time. What do you think about everything that's happening with the Indiana Fever? Are the recent lineup changes simply part of a long WNBA season, or do you believe the coaching staff needs to handle things differently moving forward? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop your opinion in the comments below because this is one of the biggest conversations in basketball right now. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more in-depth coverage of Caitlin Clark, Aliyah Boston, Stephanie White, and the latest WNBA news, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss our next upload. We bring you the biggest stories, game analysis, breaking news, and trending basketball debates every single week. Thanks for watching all the way to the end, it truly helps support the channel. Stay safe, enjoy the games, and I'll see you in the next video.